Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Delighted to welcome JP back on. JP, how are you doing?
I am all good, Keith. You?
Very good, very good. Of course you're good because the Candy Stripes had a magnificent win against the Boynesiders of Drogheda United at the Brandywell 5-1. Um, Dummigan after 6, Patchin after 30, Kelly 30, sorry, 57, Hooban 66, Call 88, Foley for Drogheda and 26 wins. Before we actually talk about the game and the goals or whatever, we get into some of the controversies. And obviously, no, first of all, there was a penalty for Derry City, converted by Will Patchin, but the foul by Foley, I've seen some people say that they thought was a bit harsh for me, and I'm going to say it first because people say, of course, the Derry fan would say this or that or the other, so I'll say it first. Definite penalty for me. I'm not really sure what Adam Foley was thinking. The ball was it was a corner kick, was played into the box, was nowhere near the vicinity of where Foley was marking Mark Connolly. I think Wogan actually got a touch on it, didn't he? Knocked it clear,
I
as far as I remember.
think that's why. Sorry for interrupting there, Keith.
Oh, go on.
I think that's why it was actually given was because when the keeper punched the ball, it went towards Conley.
Hmm.
I think if it had have been just went straight on out there or past the goalkeeper, it may not have been given. But once the ball had went in the vicinity of Conley, that's my opinion that it had to be given. And like,
It's a clear foul for me. It's a rugby tackle. I'm not really sure what Foley's thinking there. He scored actually a couple of minutes just before that. This was only a couple of minutes after.
yeah,
So
literally the
that
next.
disappointing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely
Fair point of
disappointing.
view.
Especially from the goal scorer, like he's done well at the other end. They they battle the breaking ball and stick it away, and um, he goes up the other end and wrestles Conley to the ground. It's inexcusable. And they get up and protest their innocence. Yeah, all players are going to do it, but in the back of your head, you know what you've done.
Yeah.
The referee, admit there's no VAR. He's not going to change it. Like so,
It's such a
um,
cheap penalty though, because you do see penalties given and they're accidental and they're likely to score or something like that. Like the percentage, the chances of Connolly actually scoring from that particular incident is probably quite low. It's like you might as well kick the ball in the back of the net nearly for them, like that kind of way.
near enough, especially with the foreign pageants been in from the spot this year. I know he missed a couple between last year and the year before, but he's really like knuckled down and started to put them away again. And I think maybe the presence of Had Hoban is maybe um having an effect in that because
Mhm.
I think he scored a penalty a few weeks ago and he said he knows that as soon as he misses one, he knows Had Hoban's going to be on his back for the next one. So he's keeping him on his toes anyway.
Absolutely. And the other bit of controversy, of course, was the goal, right? I think it was right in half time. It was 2-1, wasn't it, JP? And I've looked at this, I don't
No,
know.
this was just after halftime,
Sorry,
Keith.
after half time, but it was 2-1, wasn't it? I've looked at this about five or six times, and I always look and see, even if the referee or officials or linesmen are wrong, there's usually something I can see where I kind of say to myself, oh, but I can see why they didn't give it or whatever. Like, there's a reason. But I've watched this and I don't understand that Jack Keeney apparently is offside. I don't see anybody offside for Drogheda, do you? I mean, the Derry line are quite deep to the line. It obviously
Yeah.
Keeney takes a shot and it takes a deflection, goes into the back of the net. Um, but I don't understand. Explain it to me.
Explain it. Uh, I don't know how to explain it, Keith. I wish I could. Um,
I'm baffled by it. Actually, I think it's probably the worst decision of the
I'm like
season.
you. I'm like you.
I don't know what to say. Yeah.
I'm always trying to find a reason of why it possibly may have been given. And that probably comes from me being an ex-referee myself, that you're always trying to maybe find a reason, but I just don't see where it has been given. I know the referees indicated with the hand up in the air, which is, yeah, we all recognise that as offside, but in the laws of the game, that usually indicates an indirect free kick. So I was trying to maybe look at was there another infringement of a high foot or someone else, and there's nothing. You just can't defend that. I don't know where he's getting the offside.
I
Even
don't
the
know. I've looked at it and like
commentators are baffled by it. Like,
baffled.
uh, as you say, the Derry white line's quite deep. The Derry line's practically on Brian Maher's goal line. So um, that's definitely a hard one to take there for Drogheda, because I think a few moments later, I think Derry ended up going 3-1 up, if I'm not mistaken. And then a couple of minutes after that, Drogheda went down to 10 men, and then Derry went scored four. And
We'll go on to the sending off actually. Second yellow for Perot for an elbow. And sometimes, I'm not sure if he did it deliberately or not. It's hard to tell, only he knows. But sometimes players go up like that,
yeah,
and that's what they do. But there is an elbow. Now the only question I have personally, it was a second yellow a few minutes after his first yellow, I think. But second yellow. But why wasn't it straight red? I thought arguably it was a straight red. It was a decent elbow, JP. To be honest with you.
you could
Mm,
argue that it was both. Um,
mm,
when you look at the replay, he jumps and it kind of swings his arm back.
mm,
But if he's caught him with the forearm, then that's a yellow card.
mm.
Usually, if he catches him with the elbow, that indicates it's whether he's got what. Trying to remind back the seminars we used to do, and
Do you think
uh,
he gets a red if he wasn't booked already? Is that possible in that
no,
situation?
no,
No.
and that's what I was going to explain. There is
Yeah.
when we were doing seminars, one of the ones we used to do, especially during lockdown when we weren't allowed to be in groups and stuff, we would get stuff sent through, and this was one of them was on elbows, and indicating a red and a yellow. Is if his fist is closed when he's going up, that indicates a straight red. If it's an open fist and he catches him like that, it tends to be a yellow card.
Ah.
Um, and when I'm looking back on it,
Hmm.
obviously you can't see, well, he's got a closed fist, obviously, but yeah, I think the referee, if he'd given him a straight red, there could have been an argument that he didn't deserve the red. But once I think Rob
Hmm.
Harvey's actually being smart with the Keith, is he's given him a second yellow card for it and then a red card. That way, then there can be no complaints on the referee's
Hmm.
decision. The only implications that has then is in future games is should he have got 3 game ban instead of 1 game ban. But I think on the terms that I think he deserved it, at least another yellow card for it. When you look at it, he jumps. I'm not sure if he heads a ball or some, but when the ball's actually away, he brings the arm back and catches Mark. So I think he deserved a card for that. And I think Rob Harvey was smart with what he'd done. He gave him a second yellow and then a red. Because look that way then there can be no complaints based on
Hmm.
the decision. People will think it should never. People will say probably argue that it wasn't even a free kick, but he's gone off for a header. He's caught him with his forearm, and
Hmm.
that's a yellow card.
Ah, yeah.
He's already on a yellow card, so
Hmm.
2 yellows
No,
is is a
there's no
red.
doubt it's a free kick for me when I seen it. But Hooban obviously scored one of the goals. He's now top scorer in the league on his own. Daniel Kelly scored his first goal for the club. Lovely ball played through by Hooban. It was actually a decent move from the back. Kelly finishes well. He also set up Hooban for a goal. So great to see for Kelly. He seemed to indicate as well that it was about time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I noticed that in the replay he pointing to the watch, but the 2 players we signed from Dundalk in the close season both scored their first goals for Derry against Drogheda. So that's like
Of course.
Pat Hoban did it in the first game of the season. It's taken Dan Kelly they know to do it, but look, I'm absolutely delighted that he's off he's off the mark. You could see over the last few weeks he started to gain confidence. Um, he's bagged a few assists as well this
Mm,
season prior to this game, and he scored and then headed one down for Pat Hoban. They scored, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Pat Hoban put the ball over the top for him to run
did
on
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it's a great time of season to start hitting form. They're starting to get their squad back together. They've brought in Jacob Davenport, who'll be available for Thursday night against Sligo. So everything's looking positive for Derry. And it was a really good team display on Friday night, very front foot. Um, there was a few I think there was a wee tactical tweak on there as well from Roy Higgins, and I don't think many people picked up on it. But Yeah, it was a really good display from Derry City. I think that the goal they conceded was a blip. It was one blip in the whole game. Well, say one blip. Brian Maher's made a save just before half time. Then there's that disallowed goal. So Drogheda did have their chances, but I think overall in the entire game, Derry did deserve to win the game.
What,
And
what did you think of Kevin Doherty's comments, though? He said, this is going to sound bizarre, he said himself, literally. Did you see that? Yeah, this is going to sound bizarre, but I thought we actually played quite well. Did you see where he was coming
I think
from
his words
to an
was, I
extent? Like,
thought we were decent, is what he said.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know what? He's not a million.
Mm,
He's not 100% wrong either,
mm.
Keith.
But if you're
He
conceding three goals like against Galway, five there against Derry,
I
etc.,
get, I get what he's trying to say because when you break it down, they went 1-0 down early on. They got themselves an equaliser.
lovely
Give away
strike by Dummigan, by the way, actually. Yeah.
unbelievable. Give uh give away a silly penalty. Had a chance before half time. Had a disallowed goal go against them just after half time. I think then at 3-1 they hit the bar through
Mm.
Franz Piero. So
And then
when
the
you look
sending
at
off kills them at 3-1, I
the
suppose.
sending off kills him, so
Yeah.
when you look at that, you can understand where he's coming from.
Mm.
But I think in the overall picture, Derry were by far the better team, and you could say 5-1 maybe flatter Derry based on what we just spoke here in terms of Drogheda. But I think Derry did deserve to win this game by more than one goal. Because they did create. It's probably Derry's best performance of the season, to be honest. And it'd be interesting to see because I said there a few moments ago about the tactical tweak that Rory Higgins seemed to make, and what happened, it seemed to be is Cameron Dummigan was playing in the hybrid inverted fullback role when Derry were in possession. He was coming into midfield, dropping between the two centre backs. Um, and if you watch where he gets his goal from, he
Mm.
was starting off at right back. He gets his goal from the midfield position where ball drops, he chases it down, he hits it. And I don't think, unless he's playing in that inverted role, I don't think he gets that opportunity. I noticed it with Cameron, but I didn't really pick up on it until Ronan Boyce came on, and
Came on.
he was doing the exact same because he replaced Cameron Dummigan. So it'll be interesting to see going forward how that materializes. Because we see a few years ago Stephen Bradley adopted the 3-5-2 attacking formation, or the 5-3-2 attacking formation for Shamrock Rovers, and um, it worked for them, and it did a sustained success with it. So, be interesting to see how far Derry can go with this, or to see if they do it again against Sligo, or was it just an experiment for that one game to see how well they can work it.
Well, it seemed to work fairly well anyway. So at Oriel Park, it finished Dundalk 0, Waterford FC 2, and the first time obviously Dundalk have conceded in 8 games. This was their ninth game, if you like. But great result again for Waterford. They've pushed up to third in the league now on 34 points, and they really are flying. The first goal they got in the game through Connor Parsons was a brilliant goal. Actually, it was a brilliant ball through by Patterson, who seems to be improving actually. With Asamoah out of the team, they're a bit worried. But I tell you what, Patterson has stepped up to the plate now for a few weeks, and lovely ball through. Parsons finishes as well. McMenemy's free kick in 43, then good free kick, but I still think with the keeper on that side, I think you expect the keeper maybe to get down to it. He takes the free kick, it doesn't go over the wall, it goes on the side of the goalkeeper. So personally, I expect more from the goalkeeper there, Ross Monroe, but he does
Yeah.
took it away well, to be fair. And the Dock did have chances, to be fair. Mountain had a great chance, headed chance where Horgan does brilliant on the right and props it up there, and Mountain just heads over. And Dundalk's problem now at the moment is as well that Andy Boyle's going to be out for a couple of weeks. He missed this game. Zach Johnson plays last game. He's gone back now to Sunderland. Now they are looking at centre
Goes
backs,
back
but
after I think I read today he goes back after Shamrock Rovers.
oh,
So
he
he'll be
gets he actually gets the next game, doesn't it? It can be quite confusing, can't it? Actually, because some players are gone before, and then some players are gone after. But
if
going forward,
we look at Max Mata, he was away before he was
yeah,
away at the end of May from Sligo, like it
it
it's
can be
funny.
confusing. No, it
Yeah.
seriously can, and I think fans get confused even with their own clubs and players and stuff. But a bit of a problem for them. But Waterford keep going; they're motoring. Massive result for them, and as no excuses now. I think some of our Waterford viewers were complaining that they never get a result on the Astro pitch. Well, they
Fantastic
did
pick.
this time.
Yeah, they did. And it was a really good one. I expected them to get something out of it, but I think I predicted them for a draw in this game. And when you look at it, Dundalk will be disappointed in the two goals they've conceded. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from the quality of the
Mm.
goals that Waterford scored, because the first one was a really great counter attack,
Mm.
led by, was it Asamoah, finished by Connor
Paddison
Parsons.
actually, Asamoah's
Paddis-
injured, but Paddison has actually stepped
um,
up in his absence. Yeah.
yeah, and a really good finish by Connor Parsons.
Mm.
We're usually seeing him coming in off the other side, aren't we? But when you look at it from a Dundalk perspective, it came from their corner, where Darrell Horgan tries to keep a ball alive and ends up clearing it down the wing a wee bit. And Patterson does well. He's in a tight space. Was it Patterson? He's in a tight space and gets past one or two players. And um, on John Mountney tries to read the pass. He tries to read it, thinking it's going to go on the outside, and it actually goes on the inside. And he
Mm.
can't sort his feet out. And really great finish by Connor Parsons. And the free kick would be really disappointing if you're Ross Monroe,
I think so. Yeah.
because it's at your side. And normally in that situation, the goalkeeper takes a step to his right,
Mm.
expecting the ball to go over the wall. But I don't think he does. I think he just doesn't anticipate the strike going that side. And I think Waterford have been a really good team this year. I know the three times I've seen them against Derry, they have been poor. And I know a couple of fans are blaming that on the Astro, but that includes the game against Derry down in the RSC. Um, and look, they've won now in Dundalk, so they can no longer blame the Astro for not playing well, can they?
And that's the
Uh,
worst Astro, you'd argue.
I know the Brandywell's
Sorry,
not.
Dundalk fans.
I know the Brandywell's not great, but I think Oriel Park is in worse nick in that.
Mm.
But I think when you look at the table now for Waterford, like I know at the early point of the season, their fans were telling us they're in the hunt for Europe, and we were, especially you were like, we'll keep a wee rain check on it. But I think when you look at it now, they're 3 points clear of Shamrock Rovers with the same games played. So
I think
look,
even they're a bit surprised, in all honesty, though. If they were honest about it, they're a little bit
they're
surprised.
definitely in the mix for it.
Absolutely.
Oh
Not just
yeah,
in the mix,
I
JP.
would say, I would say,
Not just in the mix, JP. Sorry. You know, you're kind of looking at it, who's going to finish ahead of them outside the Shamrock Rovers. You're kind of going almost like they're surely going to finish fourth
yeah,
anyway. At
I would
least.
think so, because if you look at, we'll come on to Galway in a wee while, but they've lost three of their last four, haven't they, Galway?
Mm,
So they're starting to
mm.
lose games now. They've lost. I know they're bringing a couple of players in. They brought Jimmy Keohane in, but they've also lost Kazim. Is it?
Yeah.
They've lost him, so they'll just want to get a wee bit of a, a momentum going again. But I think Waterford, they'll use their contacts well in this window, I think, and get a few players in and strengthen their squad for the second half of the season, and really go at it. Because you could potentially see now Shamrock Rovers again. We'll talk about them in a wee while. They'll probably focus on the FA Cup now, and maybe try and get through a round or two in Europe. But yeah, look, really positive for Waterford. As you say, they went to Tala earlier in the season and they won 3-1, and it didn't flatter them. Um, so they're definitely in the mix, and who would have thought the start of the season that we come to July and we'd be talking about the two promoted teams challenging Shamrock Rovers for a European spot?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, actually. Yeah. Talca Park finished Shelbourne 2, Galway United nil, and Shelbourne just keeping ahead of Derry City in the league. John Martin with a goal after 11 minutes, and Evan Caffrey's been playing very well in recent weeks in 36 minutes, giving them the 2-0 lead. And it was a game overall that they deserved to win. They actually played quite well in the game, but Galway did have their moments. Like David Hurley at 1-0 misses an absolute great chance. He uses left foot. He doesn't trust his right foot there. I think if he opens up a bit in his right foot, he
Yeah.
scores. It frustrates me sometimes when players do that because they do have, even if a player has a stronger foot at that level, their other foot is still quite good. JP, you just have to have a
Even
bit
at
more
that,
confidence, huh?
even at that, it was still a good angle for him to score with his left foot.
I think so, but probably easier
Still
to
a good
shift it to the
angle.
right, isn't it? You
Yeah.
would thought. But
Yeah.
that was a great chance as well. And obviously, Conor Kearns makes a save from a penalty after about 70 minutes, roughly 75 minutes, I think. Which obviously that was it then for Galway, wasn't it? At that point, as you mentioned before, there, Kazim plays the last game for the club. He's gone. They have signed Galway Jimmy Keohane. Bobby Burns is now officially signed as well. So, you know, they like to think they're strengthening, even though Kazim is gone. But I do think that's a big loss at left back. As for Shelbourne, a couple of players will be coming in after Thursday, I believe. But yeah, I mean, John Martin, they'd be delighted with him because, with Sean Boyd out, he came on as a sub in this game, but Martin gave them the lead. And, he's kind of a quiet, unsung hero, so to speak, at the moment, isn't he, for Shelbourne?
Yeah, because I think I spoke in the build up about um or you asked me in before this game would the break kill Shelbourne's momentum, and I didn't think it would do. But what I did think could kill their momentum is if Sean Boyd was to be maybe out long term or pick up an injury, and um who would be there? They pick up the pieces, and right now say right now, but John Martin is there. I think he scored the winner in 3-1 nil wins this season, and he gave them a lead in this game. So like Sean Boyd, he's coming up with big goals in big games, whether it's the league goal, the equaliser goal, the winning goal. Um, and Evan Caffrey is coming into a bit of form,
Mm.
and as a manager, that's what you want coming in the final stretch of the season. Shelbourne they've been really good this season. And I said it up to about 8 weeks from about 8 weeks ago. I think if Shelbourne are going to win this league, they'll probably have to stay in the lead. Um, I don't think they're set up. They potentially chase down Derry, and I'm not even going to mention Shamrock Rovers now at this stage. I think they're 15 points behind, and I think that's probably too big of a gap. Basically, because there's two teams they have to catch, not just one. So I think if Shelbourne are going to win it, potentially they'll have to maybe stay in front of Derry. They have that game in hand. They keep their noses in front. And that'll force Derry into having to beat them twice probably. Because I think they play them at Tolka in August, and then Shelbourne come to Brandywell in the last game of the season, which could be interesting if it goes that far. But
Mm.
look, they commend Shelbourne. Nobody expected them to be in this stage at top of league at this stage of the season. If they go and beat Drogheda now on Thursday night, they'll go into the European games top of the league. And look, fair play to them. They've been absolutely brilliant this season. They've ground out results when they really needed they like we go back to Bank Holiday Monday in May. They're 1-0 down with 2 minutes to go, and if they'd lost that game, Derry would have went top of the league. Um
They're big
and
moments, like, aren't they?
big moments, yeah. And I think they went to Shamrock Rovers and won 2-0. Two penalties, but hey, they all count. Um, they went to Waterford before the break, won 1-0. When again, people were maybe questioning could they
Thinking
do
they
it.
could drop points, yeah.
They lost where you'd probably least expect them to drop points was getting beat 2-1 at home to Sligo.
Mm.
But we know Sligo do have that kind of result in them. We've seen it. They went to Brandywell and got a 2-2 draw. They beat Shamrock Rovers there and,
But it seems
on
like those odd defeats don't
Friday.
affect them mentally either. That's the
No,
point as
they
well.
don't. And that's a
Mm.
really good sign for a manager, and whatever Damien Duff is doing and his backroom team are doing, it's clearly working because one defeat it doesn't determine their season, and no club should see that or should see it as that. And I think this is a good win because this was a potential banana skin. They'd lost the last meeting at Daisy Park. They'd won the previous meeting at Tolka Park. So what it does do is it keeps Derry on their toes, this result, because as long as Shelbourne are in front, Derry are having to chase. So the pressure's going to be on Derry, I think, as long as Shelbourne are top of the table. But with Derry starting to hit a bit of form, it's 4 wins in a row. Um, it's heating up now to be a really good running. And especially if both teams can, if both teams pick up a win on Thursday night, that means we'll be going into the European break. 2 points of difference, and when we come back off that, the first meeting that both teams will have will be at Toka Park. So it'll be an absolutely interesting game if that is the case. And um, look, a really good win for Shelbourne. Galway will be disappointed, as I say. It's 3 defeats in 4 for them. It's 3 defeats in a row away from home.
JP,
Um,
I think they'll be very disappointed with the goals they conceded, the type of goals
yeah,
they conceded,
yeah.
the
John,
space for the
John,
first goal and the kind of
yeah,
mess in the back. And Martin, you know what I mean? He's running through there unopposed and obviously scores. And then the second goal, they're so good in the air, etc. It's a 2-on-1 at the back post. They'll be very
yeah.
disappointed, Caulfield, with the goals, uncharacteristically giving away goals like that, I thought.
John Caulfield touched upon that. He said that they come with a game plan and they gift them. I'm not sure if gift was the word that he used, but I think he said they handed them a goal, which they did do because
Mm.
they tried to play out from the back, and I don't think Galway ever done that this season. And they get absolutely caught. And as you say, they don't deal with the ball into the box for the second goal. And when it drops, it's a Shelbourne player reacting. And it's two uncharacteristic goals, as you say, they concede from Galway. And they had that chance at 1-0 from Hurley. And
Mm.
then they had the penalties that was saved by Cairns. So there's two huge moments in the game at the other end. Um, that could potentially maybe have got them something out of the game. Um, it's three, as I said there, Keith, it's 3 defeats in a row now for them. So that or 3 defeats
On the
away
road, yeah.
in a
Yeah.
row. Sorry,
Yeah.
they had the one against Drogheda in between. So it'll be something they'll look to address very quickly because they won't want to get this far into the season and then just let it all die out in the running. But they're signing really good players. Jimmy Keohan, Bobby Burns is both in the door. We're told juniors coming in. Yes, they've lost
Kazim.
Kazim,
Yeah.
him and the other fullback. I thought they were
SOA, yeah.
actually I thought they were very, very good in the 2 games I saw them against Derry. They were really hard 1v1. They get past, and they were pretty solid. So they were and they could get forward as well. And when they got forward, they could deliver across. So that Kazim especially will be a miss for Galway. But I'm just wondering, was the signing of Jimmy Keohan that was that because I think he plays in a full back position, doesn't he? I
He's a
think
midfielder more so, JP, to be honest. More of an
I thought
attacking midfield player, yeah.
I thought maybe
But
when he was
Bobby
at
Burns, it's Bobby Burns I think you're thinking of, is it? He can play left
yeah,
back.
Burns can play left back, but I
Yeah.
thought maybe when Keohan was at Cork, I thought maybe Caulfield had moved him into the full back position when he was
Mm,
there.
mm,
Thought yeah, maybe I'm imagining
mm. Well, I think they're
it.
probably looking at Bobby Burns, aren't they, there at the moment anyway, and
And
Keohane
again,
for
I
midfield.
think he's a Bobby Burns is predominantly a midfielder as well that can
Yeah,
play left.
true.
So,
Yeah.
uh, but no, look, good win for Shelbourne. Disappointing defeat for Galway. Um, and both teams are punching above what they probably expected so far this season, and both of them will look to keep it going.
100%. Speaking about a team who definitely isn't punching, we'll get on to them now. Sligo Rovers 2, Shamrock Rovers nil at the showgrounds. And former man Simon Power with 2 goals in 74. Former Shamrock Rovers man Simon Power, 74 and 83 minutes. He came off the bench. He had been injured his first game back. Panaker was back for Sligo as well, which is huge as well. But we talked about this in the show regarding Shamrock Rovers coming into the game that they had to win this game, and I meant they had to win this game. And from my point of view, they're out of the title race completely, and now they're in a battle for Europe. They're 15 points behind Shelbourne, 13 points behind Derry. Both sides who are actually consistently getting results at the moment as well. They had the break there to try and regroup. Seemingly hasn't worked for them. Johnny Kenny will be disappointed, I think, particularly with the first chance he had in the match where brilliant control, movement, brilliant. It's finished very disappointing, I think, and maybe that's the story Shamrock Rovers season, giving away sloppy goals as well, which we'll get onto in a minute. Ed McGinty makes a very good save though for the second Kenny chance, I think, to be honest. And Graham Burke went close, didn't he, with a typical Graham Burke kind of rasper from distance. But Sligo had their opportunities as well, and as for the two goals, Power does brilliantly to cut inside. But again, for me, Leon Poles needs to do better there. He doesn't get down to it well enough and it goes through him into the net. Simon Power's second goal, fantastic goal, but huge win for Sligo Rovers. But before we get on to them, I suppose, talk about Shamrock Rovers, JP, because it's a long, long way back for the four-time champions now.
A long, long way back. As I said earlier, Keith, when we were talking about Waterford, I think Shamrock Rovers could probably maybe now put, have one eye in the FA Cup, if not more.
And the way they're playing Bohemians away is not an easy game either.
It's not. I think they have to play them in the league too, don't they, at the Daily Mount
Yeah.
shortly. So it's never an easy venue for Shamrock Rovers to go to, even when they were in the running for the
They
league
can take a
title.
life of their own, those Dublin derbies, yeah.
The Dublin Derby's form goes out the window. It really does. But we seen that when Sligo came to Brandywell, they came to Brandywell. It's not quite the Dublin Derby, but it's the closest game that both Derry and Sligo have. So it's classed as the Northwest Derby, and Sligo came to Brandywell with one win and nine and ended up getting a point out of it. So all form goes out the window in Derby games. And when you look at the table, Sligo are supposed to be having a poor season, and they're only 3 points behind Shamrock Rovers. So they are. Um,
That's crazy.
it is, and I think a few weeks ago we were thinking Sligo of looking over their shoulders at Dundalk and Drogheda, but right now they're you have to commend them. Like we
That's
said,
a massive win for them in the context of
it
possibly
is.
falling below or whatever. It's a massive win. But Panacher coming back gives them stability, in my opinion. That's a huge. I didn't think he'd be back as quick.
You just wonder where would Sligo be if they didn't sign Ed McGinty this season?
Mm.
Because he's, I think we've seen a stat during the week that he's the most saves in the league. But and saying he hasn't had a good defense in front of him, I think. But Pineacker coming back into that will really strengthen that the defense for Sligo. A huge miss. Could When you look at the first goal that Sligo has scored, if that's Ed McGinty in the Shamrock Rovers goal, I don't think that ends up in the net.
No.
The second one, Leon Poles, is absolutely nothing he could do about that. Good strike by Simon Power. Not sure if he was a player with a point to prove, based. I know he's coming up against his old club, but
He was
he
injured an awful lot at Shamrock
injured a
Rovers
lot,
as well,
wasn't
so it
he?
wasn't like he was left out per se, was
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. I don't think it was kind of a
Mm.
point to prove, but obviously any player coming up against their old club, they always want they do well. And look, fair play to him. He took his two goals well. All he can do is hit the target, and it's not his fault that the goalkeeper spills it underneath him. A really, really good win for Sligo, as I said earlier.
So JP, do you think Sligo now should be looking at a situation now where they should be looking up? Like, you know what I mean? As in, is Europe possible for them, basically? I mean, you mentioned that they're 3 points behind Shamrock Rovers. They are 6 points behind Waterford. But are they consistent enough to put a little run together, in your view?
I definitely think they should be looking up.
Hmm.
They shouldn't be looking behind them now. Um, well, when I say they shouldn't be looking behind them, they're still only 9 points in front of Dundalk, um, which is a bit of a gap.
But they're
Um,
closer to third.
but they're
Do you know what I
closer.
mean?
They are. They're closer to the fourth anyway.
Hmm.
And we all know if you can get into fourth and see what happens with the FAI Cup winners, and whether they come with top three. So yeah, they definitely should be looking up because they are a team that that seem they pick up a result when you least expect it. Even when they're not playing, even when they're not in the greatest of form. Um, like they went to Shelbourne and won 2-1. it was 1 win from 9 when they came to Brandywell and drew 2 each and probably unlucky not to win that night. And they've gone and beaten Shamrock Rovers now at home. And look, you could
Beating the
argue,
league leaders, Shelbourne at Talca Park as well.
yes, yeah, I said that, yeah, I said
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh, so they're definitely a team that can pull a result out of the bag, but are they a team that can go on a consistent run? They
Mm.
make Europe. I don't know. I know they're losing Fabrice Hartman. His loan has ended after a couple of years. They've already lost Max Mata, who I don't think is a big a miss this year as he was probably last year. Good for them that they've McGinty to the end of the season. Pinacker's back from injury. If they can start to maybe get some of their injured squad back, maybe dip into the loan market or whatever in July and see what they can pull together. And who knows? Like I said, they're only 3 points behind Shamrock Rovers. You said they're six behind Waterford. Um, it remains to be seen whether they're a team that can get into Europe. I just don't think they've got the consistency in them. They do that, but look, they could surprise us over the course of the season, the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed. At Richmond Park finished St Patrick's Day 0, Bohemians 0, which leaves Pats sixth in the league, Bows in eighth, with still a rake of games in hand. Four on Pats, in fact. And I was at this game and very entertaining, 0-0 draw, I have to say, JP. I just looked at the highlights show as well, and you just shake your head at times. I mean, you see, I send it on to you, the Tretzka save. Anyone at Richmond would have seen it, Pats or Bows. Unbelievable save from a Rory Keaton header, not on the highlights show. I mean, what is going on there? Not only that, Akintunde had a fairly decent chance early in the game as well before that, where it was crossed into the box, he hooked it with his left foot and it went over. It was a great chance. Again, not shown on the highlights show. It's unbelievable, isn't it, at times? It just does my
Yeah,
head in.
that's very poor. Like when you look at
Very poor.
when you looked at they had 10 minutes of highlights and they can't find room for the save, especially.
One of the
Uh,
highlights was a Jake Mulroney shot with his right foot that went about 100 yards over the bar. Like,
into the flats. Like you'd wonder who's pulling these highlights together. That
bizarre.
they decided that that was more um deserving of being in the highlights than the save from the goalkeeper, which is probably one of the saves of seasons
It was
because
unbelievable when I seen it as well. Watching it, it was certain it was in. It
the
was
clip that
in
you
as far as
showed
I'm
me,
concerned, and
the
it
clip that
seemed
you
like he
showed,
came out of nowhere.
yeah, the clip that you sent me, it looked like it was past him and he got
Mm,
down there really well. And that's not an easy save to make.
no, it's not.
That's a
It was a good
top goal.
header. Like Keishan couldn't have done more there. It was a great header.
They tell you as a striker or anybody if you're heading the ball, they head it down because it makes it more difficult for for the goalkeeper. And Keaton did all that, and the keeper still got down to it. And I just don't know why it was not in the highlights. And you said there, Jake Mulroney's right-footed shot that it ended up in the flats behind the net. I just wonder who decides what goes into these highlights because that was really poor to leave that out. I think.
And even as I mentioned there was an Akintunde chance. Bowles with a great chance there before the opportunity where Breslin does brilliantly to actually clear off the line. That was in many ways as good as what Turецka done. It was an unbelievable clearance the way Breslin came in and he took a knock for it. But thought that was in too, if I'm honest with you. But that was shown in the highlights. But there was a chance before that not shown. Very good game. First half a bit end to end. I think Bowles started off slightly better. I think the end is slightly better. I think for about 20 25 minutes in between. Pats were the better and created 4 or 5 really good chances, including that chance from Keishin. Levy had a decent chance as well, where it wasn't a good effort at all, but he was in and goal and he kind of ballooned it over the bar. Second half, then Bows were the best team for about 20 minutes, I'd say. They had a lot of the ball, moved the ball very well. Had one really good chance. Again, wasn't shown in the highlights, but was played through. Rooney played the ball across. McDonald kind of comes sliding in and he tries to use, he's a left footed player, so he tries to use his left foot when clearly the right foot was on, like, you know what I mean? And again, players not trusting the other foot. It was the best option. But then for the last 20 to 25 minutes, Pats, I did say before the game, Pats, I felt as a stronger bench, and there was a bit of proof in that with their finish. Last 20 25 minutes, they created so many chances. And Brandon Kavanagh came on number 10 spot position. He was superb. set pieces, efforts on goal, creating chances. He was brilliant in that. Alex Nolan came on and gave them a bit of something on the left as well. He actually tried to beat the man 1-on-1, which Mulroney wasn't really doing. Amelia came on as well, and I suppose looking back on it, I obviously we review and I do a match day vlog, but that's always immediate. Pats were probably slightly the better. I think Bowes played well, by the way. It was a good game. Like, honestly, I think Pats look like more of a team unit now. They played well. They're just lacking. I'm not sure they've enough goals in their attacking areas, though. That's the only thing. But they're creating chances. There's 17 chances in the game. Shots, let alone actual opportunities. You know what I mean? 7 on target. And Bowes as well at 12 shots. I think 1 on target, but the Breslin clearance off the line doesn't count, apparently, as a shot on target, which is mad in my opinion because it's going in if he doesn't clear it. But anyway, but Bowes should be happy enough with the performance, JP, as well. I thought they played well. They moved the ball well. They played well. They came up against a Pats team who did play well as well. But Pats probably slightly edged us on good chances created overall. But both teams should be looking at the positives, and both teams look more like a team, I have to say. Even Bowes, they did. They look more like a unit, and it's their best performance I've seen in a long time as well. But ultimately, it was a nil-nil draw, although it was very entertaining nil-nil draw.
Yeah, well, you do get that, don't you? Entertaining nil-nils, and um, people tend to think a nil-nil means a boring game, and
Well, you can see good football in a nil-nil draw. You can see a
yeah,
2-2 draw. They drew 2-2 at Dalymount earlier on in the season, and I was at that game as well. This game was a far better game, quality-wise.
yeah. I think Alan Reynolds has started his clear out of Bowes, hasn't he? And started to move on the players that are coming in multi-year deals in just a few months ago. And one of those players that did come in is the goalkeeper, who's turned out to be an absolute shrewd signing by Declan Devine and his team.
He's very
So
good.
um, I think he's on a multi-year deal too, isn't he? So they'll be looking for to hang on to him and keep a.
Shamrock Rovers are looking for a goalkeeper now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're delighted that he's on a multi-year deal. That Shamrock Rovers will not be looking for him or next year. Well, they probably will be looking for him, but they don't want to pay a transfer fee. But anyway, I think Bose. I think they'll want to start picking up ones pretty soon, Keith.
Mm,
Much as they are looking maybe better as a unit and stuff like that.
mm.
They're only 6 points above Dundalk, and they don't want to get dragged into that. Yeah, they do have their 4 games in hand, but it's points on the board that counts. And if you're getting dragged into a relegation battle and you 4 games in hand, pressure then starts to ramp up a wee bit in them games in hand. And, oh, we have to win this, etc. etc. So, Pats, look, we know in the long run, Stephen Kenny will get it right. He's on a 4.5 year contract. He's probably not expected to do much this season. Maybe um have a go in the league, see where he can end up. Have a go in the cup, see if he can retain it. See if he can get us through a round in Europe. That's probably his objectives for this year. Probably maybe no expectations on it. Um
Just improve and see where that
yeah,
takes them. And,
yeah,
you know, next season be huge. I think his strength and conditioning coach is there from Dundalk, and I think his impact will be made
yeah.
pre-season, especially next season. But they do look fitter, I have to say now. In all honesty, they do look fitter now already.
As you said, like they are creating chances. They just not
Mm,
scored. I don't think we wondered whether Rory Keaton
mm,
could produce the clinical side of his game that he had at Cork last year. Could he reproduce that at St. Pat's? And I know he had a bit of injury recently, and he hasn't been able to be as clinical as he was. But look, who's to know that when Stephen Kenny gets his team together, um, gets him playing his own way, the fitness levels right. Who's to say that Rory Keaton can't be that clinical striker for them? It just hasn't happened for him yet this season. It might still do, but look, both these teams they'll be happy, I think, with a point. None of them want to have lost it. But as we know, St. Pat's going to a game now. I can't don't know who they play on Thursday, but that's their last league game.
Waterford away. Yeah.
That'll be their last league game for a month. So
Mm,
I think they'd probably be a bit more disappointed than Bulls were at drawing that game.
They're likely to go down the table in all honesty because of the games in hand with Bowes that Bowes and Sligo have in particular.
So they
Yeah.
could be coming back from the European
Eighth possibly, you know.
they come back from the European break in eighth.
Mm.
It's the ninth if Dundalk put a run together. Um,
You never know.
um, but look, it's it's still a long way to go in the season. So a good, I think, I say a good point for both, but St. Pats will be probably a wee bit more disappointed than Bohemians.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, JP. We leave it there. People at home, let us know what you think in the comments. More controversy as usual. Let us know what you think. I'm sure you will. I'm sure the Waterford fans will be on to us as well. So
To be
thanks
on to
for
you,
watching. What?
to be on to you.
On to me this week. Is this my turn? Yeah, fair enough. I'll
Well,
take
to
I'll
be
take
on to
the
you,
heat.
you're the one who's always writing them off.
The beat Pats 5-0. Don't worry about that. Subscribe and thanks for watching, guys.